Welcome to the Shark Bite Show, where we dive into the stories of our members, coaches, friends, and family of Shark Bite Fitness and Nutrition. All right, let's roll. All right, guys. Today, I am honored to have Katie Onifer join the podcast. This will be a super common voice on here for sure. Katie is one of the few people who works at all three of our current Shark Bite locations. She is the director of our entire nutrition program here at Shark Bite, runs our social media, coaches group classes, and personal training sessions as well, and is a super awesome person. Katie, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this will be a lot of fun. So talk to me. Who are you? What's your history in like fitness, sports, health, that realm?
Well, you covered a lot of what I am already. I've also been working in the corporate world forever, and would love to work in the fitness realm. Fitness wise, I'm not your typical story, right? Like I didn't play sports in high school. I was not an athletic person. I really only discovered how fantastic fitness is. I would have to say probably like 2010, 2011, I started working with a personal trainer and I just fell in love. And from there it's grown into what it is now.
Yeah, quite a bit. That's something I think a lot of people don't realize. I'm the same way. I didn't play sports growing up at all.
Yeah.
I've almost no background in like athletics in any way, which why I think all this stuff is so much harder for me than it is for a lot of people. We can relate on that.
Yeah.
So what made you become interested in coaching? What made you think that'd be a realm you'd like to do?
Coaching is really satisfying for the coach as much as it is for the client, right? And that might sound a little bit selfish, but there's nothing better than seeing someone happy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Seeing someone making changes that they didn't think they could do, seeing someone doing movements that they didn't think they could do. It is just so satisfying.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's everybody we've had on here so far has said some version of that same thing because it's totally true, right?
Yeah.
It is a little selfish, but like it's selfish in a good way. So that's good.
Yeah.
All right. So how did you find your way to Shark Bite?
Actually through a mutual friend. I was working out at another gym. I was, I like to call myself like a certificate collector. I love to learn. So I'm constantly getting certified in this and that and the other thing. And I had recently discovered, well, I knew for a while, but I had recently discovered how freaking fantastic you can feel with nutrition. And I really, I had taken a certificate course in something and I wanted more. So I took another one. And in talking with our mutual friend, they had told me that you guys were looking for a nutrition coach. And it was just perfect timing. Perfect timing. So that's how I found SharkBite.
Yeah, that's crazy to think. A mutual friend was Kelly. It's crazy to think that you're saying that we were looking for a nutrition coach, right? Because like that's you are so much more than just a nutrition coach now. It's hard for me to remember that was like how this started because in my brain sometimes that doesn't even click anymore. That's totally true. I remember that first meeting with you, and that's wild to think that we were talking about having you just come on as a part-time nutrition coach.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, how much that's grown.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, that's like a good segue because you're the director of nutrition for SharkBite, right? So talk to me a little bit about our nutrition program, what we stand for, like what nutrition coaching in general is, because I think that's something that a lot of people, understandably, and I was one of them, don't really understand.
Okay, so that's a loaded question. Let's start with
Yeah.
the nutrition program, right? I think our nutrition program is different in that it's not one thing, right? For one person, it might be helping them build on some healthy habits. For another person who might be competing at a higher level, we might be tracking macros. For someone that has their macros down, we might be digging into the micros. Our nutrition program is helping anybody of any level reach a higher level. Uh,
Mhm.
Teach people healthy eating. We get back to the basics. I think our society is in this spot right now where we're eating food items. We're not actually eating food, right? And taking it back to those basics and helping people feel better is what our nutrition program really does, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he definitely does do that. I mean, full disclosure, you're my nutrition coach as well, and I think like what's cool about that is, you have quite a few clients at all of our gyms, and I think you coach me probably a whole lot differently than you do a lot of the other people.
Yeah.
And that's not because I'm somehow better or deserve special treatment. It's like kind of like you said, it's all kinds of things for everybody.
Right.
Sometimes your coaching to me is like, hey asshole, that was a lot of food, and that works really well for me, whereas
Right.
you might not do
Right.
that with somebody else. Um, so like what does nutrition coaching look like, let's say, with you as a coach, for someone who's trying to compete at a higher level?
So when it comes to competing at a higher level, we're looking at, what macros we can set them up with that will help them perform better,
Mm,
but also recover, right? A lot of higher level is based on recovery, right? Like how you perform the day of is how well you're recovering, right? So it's
mhm,
not always just food, too. It's your stressors, right? Like who are you surrounded with? It's your sleep. There's so many things that go into your nutrition. I mean, what else do you do at least 3 times a day, every day for the rest of your life, right? It's eating. It's one of the most important things in your life, and a lot of people take it for granted. So, um, with higher level athletes, they may think that they've got some things pinned down. They may think that they're doing good, but we come in from an outside look and we're able to look in on that and say, like, no, I think you need to button this up, or you need to change this a little bit, or how about we try this? Having that outside look is priceless. I mean, I have my own nutrition coach, right?
mhm, mhm.
Um, Things that I'm seeing for myself, I might be like, well, that's good. But then they'll come in and say, well, no, we can do this better, or we can do that better. It's important to have that person looking over your shoulder and helping you really step it up a notch.
Okay, and then if I'm somebody who's not working out regularly and I just want to lose weight, how does that look?
Well, that could be completely different, right? And it really depends on where they're starting from. Like, I think the first thing I would ask is, are they drinking water? What do they drink, right? Do you eat vegetables? Do you eat fruit? Are you eating whole foods or eating processed foods? I mean, we can start in any number of spots for someone that's in a position like that. Oftentimes, we'll get people who are just not eating enough, right? And I think that's super surprising to some people when I give them a goal of like, hey, try to eat this much. Um, they get scared, right? We live in this diet culture of like less, 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 less. But in
Yeah.
reality, your body has got this. Um, it's adapted, right? It's called metabolic adaptation, right? It's adapted to the fact that you're not eating enough food, and then when you are eating food, it's not really food, right? It's food-like items, right?
Mhm.
So oftentimes with people who are just looking to lose a little bit weight, they're shocked to know that they can lose weight by eating more. And I love that. I love giving people the opportunity to not be hungry, right? Like you should be enjoying food. Our program sets you up so that you can continue it for the rest of your life. You shouldn't go through life hungry. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite moments in when we're doing no sweat intros and I'm talking to someone and I'm like, look, I'm gonna let Katie tell you this, but I'm 90% certain she's gonna tell you to eat more food. And they always look at me incredulously, and I'm like, look, we've been doing this a little bit. I'm pretty sure I know the first
Yeah.
thing she's gonna tell you to do is eat more food. And yeah, that's a super cool feeling. What I think is cool is you talked about how different those were. And, I compete for the Southwest Florida Sharks, so I guess a semi-competitive athlete outside. And one of the first things you and I worked on wasn't macro tracking or necessarily increasing like these wild parameters. It was like, hey, how much are you eating every day? And I think if we remember like 2.5 years ago, what we did was just track my portion sizes, and the amount of success that has brought me, just that one action. Whereas I've been doing this long enough where I might stupidly put myself in the bucket of like, I need to make sure that I eat exactly 47 minutes after I work out, and it has to be 2 almonds and a peach. Otherwise, I'm not going to be great. Like something that seemed as simple as just tracking the amount of food I was eating per day had a stellar result for me.
Yeah.
And I know that when we were testing out the program before we decided we were going to take it live, that was a big part of what made me buy into it so hard. Was like, okay, so we took a realistic thing, a thing that was not outrageously difficult for me to do, and I just implemented it with your guidance. Um, I lost a ton of weight and I got in way better shape. And 2.5 years later, it's not stopped, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so important, right? Like, the humans have so much stress in their life, right? Like,
Mhm.
eating shouldn't be one of them, right? Make it as easy as possible and you can still get fantastic results. That's the way to do it, right? You
Mhm.
shouldn't have to be worrying about, like, do your numbers match up? What am I doing? Let me weigh this out. Like, it doesn't need to be that. It
Mhm.
absolutely does not need to be that.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And also, you might not want to say this, but I will. We live in a culture where people are kind of tricked into believing that results happen, in very specific ways when they're generally not true.
Yeah.
The fitness influencer you see on Instagram is not only doing the things they're telling you about generally, and they're not doing it necessarily in the time frame that they're implying they are.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I like our program a lot, in that we let you know right up, like, you're not going to lose 30 pounds in 2 weeks. Like, that's not the program for you. Cut a leg off. You might do that.
Yeah.
Not that I'm recommending you do that, but um, I know you and Christy and Crystal and Layla are extremely open and honest about that when working with clients.
Yeah. I think it's
Uh,
important, right? Like, expecting overnight results. Like, maybe you might get that with some things, but I guarantee you it's gonna come back. You're gonna feel like shit. It's just not worth it.
yeah, right, exactly. Now, you're a personal trainer and have been, a lot longer than you've been coaching group classes, at SharkBite. I know you've told me that one-on-one training has been super fulfilling for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, why is that? Why do you enjoy that so much?
Um, so I think that one-on-one training is great because you really get to know a person, right? You
Mhm.
really become a part of their lives and you understand what their goals are. You can really get deep with a person, right? You understand what their goals are. You can set up the workouts depending on what's going on in their life, right? Like, you might know, like, this, I know this person is having a rough week, like, let's take it easy this week. Or I know they're going on vacation in a few weeks, like, we're amping it up, you know. I know what weights they've lifted and where I can push them. And working one on one with someone is just so intimate. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I had a background. I started, just teaching like group CrossFit classes, and one-on-one was super scary to me.
Yeah.
And I also, it was scary for me as a coach, and it was also scary because I didn't really understand what kind of like value I was providing. Um, but like you said, after you do it for a while, you realize, like, this is awesome. It's intimate. I get to know exactly what this person is looking for all the time. You get to start to learn, like you said, when I can push them a little more, when I
Yep.
need to pull back a little bit more. Um, Getting to work towards somebody's individual goals, right? Like you were talking about that specifically. Like, if weight loss is something they care about, we'll modify what we're doing to specifically focus on weight loss, right?
Hell yeah.
And you've been able to keep clients for a really long time, right? Like, why is that? Why have you been so successful with
Um, I don't really look at them as clients. I guess they really become friends, right? They become a
it?
part of my life. I know what's going on outside in their lives. They know what's going on in my life. When we see each other, for a period of the time in our session, we're talking about our lives, right? Um, and then this switch flips and we're working out, right? Like, so it's a two-part session, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, whenever I talk to people about what we do, I say, you're just like hanging out with your friends, but you're getting your ass kicked during it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why it's kept me in it for so long. Um, all right, so talk to me a little bit about Sober Sunday, the program that you and one of our other coaches, Chris Morgan, have been creating.
So with Sober Sunday, we're looking to give people who are sober or are thinking about getting sober or are a friend or family member with somebody who is sober a place to come and hang out, get a good
Mhm.
workout in, have a little bit of a sense of community. When I got sober, it was, pivotal to my recovery, right? I want to be able to give that to somebody else.
Yeah. So, what about, why was it so pivotal? How did it help?
Um, when you're, doing your drug of choice or drinking alcohol, you really mess with your serotonin and your dopamine and all of those hormones and how they're produced and how you feel. Working out replaces that, right? It gives you those feelings of satisfaction and that rush that you used to get from your drug of choice.
Mhm.
And besides that, it's the community, right? Like, it's being around people who understand you, having that connection. those things combined really, really helped me. I don't think that I would be where I am today without that.
Yeah, I can understand that completely. With the veteran community,
Yeah.
I'm an Army vet, and that you're looking for that feeling of camaraderie that you were getting elsewhere, and you might have been getting it a different way, but that feeling of camaraderie you can't really replicate, right?
Yeah.
Um, but like you're saying, you can, at least a facsimile of it in this.
Oh,
And
for sure.
I was, Josh, one of our other coaches, we talked about this a bunch. Kind of finding a community to replicate some of those feelings again. I'm assuming it's the same way, right?
Oh, absolutely, right? Because when I was drinking, I had a group of friends, right? And then when I stopped drinking, I didn't really have any friends, right? Because I didn't want to be in those situations that I was before. So coming to the gym and having that place to go, that safe place, and making friends that were interested in doing things other than planning on our next outing,
Mm.
instead, I was meeting at a different bar, so they say, right? And yeah, it's definitely super fulfilling to be able to have that. I want to be able to give that to somebody else, I want people to have that feeling. Um, and I think being able to do it and give them a space to come in for free and just hang out, I'm hoping that it grows.
Yeah, I think that's a super noble cause, and I'm really excited for what we're going to be able to do for that over the next year.
Yeah.
Um, so you are from New Jersey, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how many people know this, but I think like 80% of Shark Bite is from Ohio, Philly, or Jersey.
Yep.
It's like everybody moves down from those three places and joins the gym. What brought you down to Florida?
Good question. I think
Okay.
for a really long time, I just always wanted to move somewhere where it was warm. I hate snow. I hated commuting in snow. I hated cold weather. I hated being stuck in the house. I hated feeling um, like I couldn't go outside. Like I want to be outside. I'd always wanted to move down south. So that's really the main reason why. Yeah.
Yeah. And why have you not gone back?
For that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate the cold. I don't want to be back up there. It's a different way of life down here, right? I grew up right outside of New York City. Everything is go, go, go. Um, People are not super nice. Listen, hey, I still love all my friends and family from up there. But it's different, right? Like we're a beach town, right? We're
Mm.
going with the flow. People are here on vacation, it's completely different. And I love the heat. And you guys always make fun of me for it, but I love it. When it's 100 degrees out, sign me up, man. I'll work out in the sun. I'm good.
And you're wearing a hoodie too. Ben, people make fun of Florida all the time, right? But it's weird. Everybody always wants to come here.
Yeah. It's funny, right?
All right. So back in November, we held something called the Shark Bite Summit, right? You were a really big part of that, and I was obviously ecstatic about how it went. Can you talk a little bit about what that is and why it was so important to us to get that done?
Um, okay. Shark Bite Summit. It was like a meeting of the minds for all of our employees, right?
Mm.
The cool thing about Shark Bite is that we all care, right? It might be different from like going to a Globo gym or another gym where people see it as more of a job. Like I really feel like all of us at Shark Bite like want to make a difference, right? And coming together at Shark Bite Summit not only cemented that fact, but it gave us some time to spend together, which we never get to do because we're always
Mhm.
coaching different times and in different places. Um, but we worked on getting better at providing a better experience for our members. Like we actually give a shit about that and want to make it a place that people enjoy coming, not only to get a great workout in, but as like a community.
Yeah, and if I ever had any doubts about that beforehand, that Saturday smashed those doubts.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I know each of you guys, each of the managers came up with a presentation um, to help all of our coaches, and then a bunch of the coaches came up with activities for us to work on so that we could get better as coaches. And what's cool is that it wasn't even all just necessarily like fitness based. It was like, how can we help our members in their lives outside of the gym? How
Yeah.
can how can we help each other as coaches so that we're able to give more to our members? Um, I remember the coolest part about that was at the end of the day, and we did like it was like 9 hours long. At the end of the day, nobody wanted to leave.
Yeah.
I remember Sue's like trying to shut down the Fort Myers gym and nobody would get out because everybody just wanted to hang out more together afterwards. It was so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing that again next year. I think it's gonna be really fun.
Yeah.
I might think about letting some people from outside of Sharp Bite come join the next one because
Oh,
it was an awesome experience.
it was really cool. Yeah, really amazing. But I mean, I've been going to meetings for years and years and years and years. And I think that was, the first meeting I ever left, like really proud of like being a part of something, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the same way I felt. I just had this big smile. I sat in my truck for a while and I was like, I love this. I love what we do.
Yeah.
All right, so the CrossFit Games, right? It's a big event that's held every year. Um, anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, there's this thing called the Open. It's coming up for us real soon. Everybody competes in it in the world if they're interested, and then the fittest people in the world move on to the games, the CrossFit Games, right? There used to be kind of an intermediate and intermediary level of that competition called regionals, right? And you got to volunteer at that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a pretty big event. If I remember correctly, you volunteered at the last one that ever happened, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what was that like? Because you helped out at a lot of events that we've done, right? What was it like being at an event that's that big? How was that?
It was kind of terrifying at first. I had just started CrossFit less than a year before, and I decided, that the event was coming around, and should we go and, be spectators? Oh, look, they're looking for volunteers. Like, let me put my name in down and see what happens, right? And they picked me, and then they picked me for scoring. Listen, you guys know that I'm not good with numbers. I was terrified. I'm like, are you guys sure? It was so cool to work right off of where everybody was doing their workouts. All of these high level athletes, a lot of who I wasn't familiar with because I had just started CrossFit, and to be right behind the broadcast booth was incredible. It was really long days. It was really demanding, but man, was it fulfilling! And I learned so much. And then when we hold these smaller events, it's like a piece of cake, right? Um, I think that one of the best parts of that weekend was like the last few events because everybody wants to know what the scores are right away, right? They want the scores right away. So they would have us stationed along the event out on the floor. And as soon as somebody was done with the event, you would have to take the score sheet and run it to the back and total it up and then bring it to the booth and they would double check it against the video. And it was just, um, it was 3 days of nonstop adrenaline. It was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I've had a bunch of friends do Wadapalooza, which is a big event
Oh,
around us, and that's what they told me. It's 72 hours of just madness, but
yeah.
like organized madness, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And
It was
I in our events, they're like you said, they're much smaller. That feeling of almost like controlled chaos for
yeah.
14 straight hours is it's like a drug. It's super fun.
Oh, for sure. You can't beat that rush. There's
Yeah,
nothing that compares to it. Yeah.
right. Um, Speaking of competitions, all right, it's time for you to fess up because
Oh, no.
a couple years ago, during our intramural open competition, on the last week we held a costume competition, right?
Yeah.
You were on a team that decided that you were all going to dress up as caricatures of me. Everybody had their stupid fake beards and backwards hats and their tattoo sleeves, right?
Yep.
Whose idea was that? I want to know who came up with that.
That's a really good question. That was a long time ago. I don't know. I don't
I
remember.
That is a cop out if I've ever heard one.
I'll never tell, but it was fantastic. The look on your face. It was so much fun. That was a
when
good
I when I showed up and everybody's wearing the stupid Hawaiian shirts and short shorts, and I remember I was so mad because that meant that our team lost because there was no way we were beating 30 of you dressed up looking like an idiot like me. Um, but I also got about 20 free Hawaiian shirts out of it, so it was a pretty
Yeah,
big win for
yeah,
me.
that
Yeah,
works. Yeah.
I have a feeling Danny Johnson had something to do with that. I have a feeling that she was in the brain trust on that. I'll find out when she's on the show.
Interesting theory.
Yeah. um, well, cool. So, Katie, is there anything else you want to talk about? Is there anything else you want to bring up? Any other cool stories you want to talk about?
Um, No, I don't think so. I'm excited to come back on here and talk about more nutrition stuff, more
Yeah,
nutrition related stuff. But
definitely
yeah,
going to make that a regular occurrence. We're going to be doing that more often.
heck yeah, yeah. Um, no, man, just thanks for inviting me to be on. I really
Yeah,
appreciate that. Yeah.
yeah, no problem. I'm glad you were. So before we kick you out of here, if you were talking to someone who's brand new, right, and they were scared to start working out, in whatever way, like what would you tell them? What would your advice be?
Um, we've all been there. Anything new is scary. And I think that's okay, right? If it's not scary, then is it worth trying, right? Um, Working out and staying fit can literally extend your life, right? And it can make you feel really good. So don't look at it as something scary in a bad way, but maybe scary in a good way, right? Take that adrenaline that you have and just go for it, right? Like it's worth the being scared for the first few times. And I promise at Shark Bite that would change, right? After you're there for a few times, you get to know everybody. Everybody becomes like family, right? And then it's not scary anymore. So you just got to get past
Mhm.
that, fear feeling, and realize that, movement is a good thing, right? And becoming part of a community is just incredible. Yeah.
That that wins. I can't beat that. Okay, cool. All right, Katie. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with us today on the Shark Bite Show. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can find us on Facebook or Instagram at Shark Bite Fitness and Nutrition, or on our website at sharkbitefitness.com. If you'd like to find out more about our guests, their information will be in the show notes. If you'd like to talk to us about getting more fit, feel free to schedule a free no sweat intro at one of our locations in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, or Naples, Florida.